Working. Good morning, good people of a great nation. It's a pleasure and honor to come to you live from Pape Hill, where ITV, Independent Television Abuja, is located. When we open studio at 7, we did say we will be discussing the issue of corruption as well as security. Our first segment this morning, we intend to discuss a particular aspect of anti-corruption fight of Nigeria, or a fight that Nigeria has keyed into, if I can put it more precisely, and that's Publish What You Pay campaign. It's been a global campaign for some time. My guest will tell us how long. Is the newly minted, elected global director for the campaign, Publish What You Pay. He will be telling us in details what that campaign is all about, where Nigeria is with that campaign. And incidentally, my guest is also the executive director for Center LSD, which is a non-governmental organization based in Abuja. Monday Osasa, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
Congratulations on your recent election into the global campaign.
Thank you.
So let's start from home. They say charity begins at home. Before we go into the Publish What You Pay campaign, you've put over 2 decades into the development sector. You are also a journalist. You wear several caps. What actually led you into the development sector? Why? You are an economist and all of that. Why didn't you choose to work in the bank?
Okay. I didn't choose to work in the bank because I felt that in spite of the huge resources God has ordained us with, we are living, the whole of Africa are living in very lamentably poor condition.
Very unfortunate.
Yes. And I think that there is need to reverse it. And that was, in fact, one of the motivations that I had to come into the development sector. And I came in, and in spite of the campaign, the things are not changing the way we expected. but yes, and I think that it is not to run away, but to continue to do what we know how to do best. And so what came into my mind was to say, now, if you look at some policies and plans of government, you see the effect more at the rural areas. But if you go to rural Nigeria, all of these are not crystallizing. So what we did was to see how we can build the capacity of people at the subnational so as to be able to engage and know what is expected of them in terms of participating in governance. Those were the motivations, and I think that even though we are not yet there in terms of the kind of aspirations that we had when we were coming in, the situation has changed, but not the way we expected it. So, but this time is not a time to give up, but
no time for lamentation.
Yes.
But time to organize rather than agonize. So you are a pioneer staff of Center LSD, if I'm correct.
You're correct.
I know you've come a long way with Dr. Otive Igbuzo. So run us through exactly what you do at Center LSD. I know there is a leadership program you do annually, multi-campus and all of that. But exactly our viewers want to know, what exactly is Center LSD? What does it stand for? What do you do there?
Okay, the Center LSD is an acronym for the African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development. And the center was established in 2010 to build strategic leadership for sustainable development in Africa. And our mission is to work with forces of positive change, to empower citizens to transform society. And we work in 3 areas. And the 3 areas we are informed by certain things that are prevalent in the African continent. One of those factors include, 1, the lack of transformative leadership in Africa. The second is absence or no strategy. And then the third is inappropriate development approaches. And so we felt that to change all of this narrative, the need to have a leadership school is important. We need to socialize people early into what leadership means. Because what we have discovered over the years is that there are some organizations that have leadership in their name, but they do not train people on leadership. And so as part of giving back to society, that leadership school came on board in 2010, and it is done free of charge for 1 year. And so far, we have trained 1,376 persons for the past 11 years or so. And the call for the 17th and the 18th set is out.
Wow.
You know, and there are deluge of applications that we have received. In the time past, space was a problem, but with our movement to a new office, you know, that space is no more a challenge as it were. But what we are doing now is to also cope with the number of applications that came. We are running 2 sets concurrently, and that is what we are doing. We also have...
I know Nigerians like a wolf. Also, when something is free and it's capacity building, they want to take advantage. But it's good that people are taking interest in leadership capacity building.
They are taking real interest in it. And there are so many striking testimonies that are coming out of it, which gives us, you know, encouragement that this Nigerian project is possible. The Nigeria of our dream is possible. And then the second thing that we do is strategy development. There are a lot of organizations that are operating without strategies. And if you're operating without a strategy, it means you don't even understand your environment. It means you are doing guesswork. A lot of civil society organizations and even private organizations, they are operating without strategy. And we think that if you want to really matter in the sector where you are working, they need to have a tactile strategy, a strategy that you can feel and really operationalize to cause the needed change that you want is very important, which is why there is emphasis now on strategy plan development by organizations. Center LSD, incidentally, last year, we got an operating license from the Institute of Strategic Management. And so that license now has enabled us, apart from just supporting organizations to develop strategies, we are also training people on strategy. You know, so we are training people on strategy, and that is also running very smoothly. Then the other part of our work is development. Our development work is actually centered around governance. And then what we do essentially has to do with issues that pertains to the budget, analyzing the budget to find out whether it is in consonance with internationally agreed benchmarks. We are also looking at issues of education. The number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is quite overwhelming, and we can't continue like that as a nation if we really want to develop. The other, we also are at the forefront of the campaign for the adoption of the open government partnership by subnational governments, and then so many other things that we are doing. And I must tell you that we are happy with what we are doing. Part of what we are doing in development is extractive transparency, which has taken us to the places that we currently are today. And in the last 2 to 3 years, or no, last 5 years, what we have been doing is to mobilize citizens to participate in natural resource governance. And we have effectively done that. But at a time came, we felt that there is need to deepen all our engagement. So we try to look at subnational government interest in solid mineral development. We also try to look at stakeholder compliance to environmental laws and the efficacy of community development agreement, which is a social license that enables mining companies or extractive companies to deliver development to their host communities. So those are the things that we are doing. But right now, our focus really is to also see the intersection. So we are using an intersectional approach to look at because the effect, if you go for exploration or exploitation of minerals, the effect it will have on man is different from the effect it's going to have on women. So we are looking at the gender dimension. How has women played in that sector? What are the systems? What are the practices? What are the policies that have placed women in disadvantages in the extractive sector? So those are the areas that we are looking at. And the whole idea to make this really effective, we have put in our concepts that there is need to work with government institutions to transform government institutions so as to up gender equality in the extractive sector, in the governance of the extractive sector. And the whole idea is to see how we can help to transform the women folk to be able to participate actively in decision making and the governance of the extractive broadly, so that they don't continue to play as onlookers. So that is where we are going now. And by the grace of God, God that has helped us to achieve thus far will also help us this way.
Interesting perspective. So let's calibrate. When the Center LSD joined the Publish What You Pay campaign, which is actually our prime focus for this morning, although we will still come back because they are all interwoven. I mean, your work in the extractive industry, open government partnership, and all of that. So, let me just say, run us through what exactly does Publish What You Pay campaign, what does it entail, and where is Center LSD in that?
Okay, the Publish What You Pay campaign, what it entails is we are advocating for we are advocating for transparency and accountability in the extractive sector, but much more citizen participation in the extractive sector, such that citizens are able to benefit from the process of extractive today and tomorrow. That is the center point of that advocacy. And why transparency and accountability? Transparency and accountability is important because if the proceeds from these natural endowments goes into private pockets, there's no way other citizens will benefit from it. Which is why we are saying there is need for collective action in natural resource governance, which borders on citizen participation. Because if government is left alone to manage it, they have managed it in the past, and the result is what we are seeing today. So I think that there should be a deliberate attempt for more citizens to come on board and interrogate what government is doing. Incidentally, government has also signed up to the Open Government Partnership, which gives us an ample opportunity to really play in the extractive sector. And as we hosted the global OGP representative last week, and they were full of commendation for Nigeria. And if they are full of commendation for Nigeria, then it means what we are doing is correct. But I dare say that there is need for government to open its doors more and more. Yes, we have been commended, but the kind of openness that we really are yearning for in Nigeria, for development to be everywhere in Nigeria, we have not yet seen it. And I think government have the capacity to open its doors for citizens to come in, participate, interrogate where necessary, for the right things to be done for Nigeria. Then you talked about when the Center LSD. Center LSD has been there since its establishment in 2010 with Publish What You Pay, and the work that we do also helps to contribute to the vision of Publish What You Pay. Extractive transparency, and then making sure there is transparency and accountability both in the oil and gas sector and then in the mining sector. So we have been there with them. And your question around how has Nigeria fared? Well, Nigeria, because of the fact that leadership is a problem across the different sectors, I will not say that Nigeria has fared very well, But one thing that is sure is that those people that have served in the past as national coordinators of Publish What You Pay, they did their best. But looking at the current realities of where we are standing in Nigeria, the need to improve on that is necessary. And so there is need to support Publish What You Pay Nigeria to be able to come out of its shelves. There are people that have managed the coalitions, are people with knowledge, and I thought that by now Publish What You Pay would have gone very far. So part of the things that we try to bring on board in this new arrangement is to support Publish What You Pay Nigeria. We are going to support them by way of capacity building. We'll support them by way of mentorship and working as a team. I don't understand people pursuing the same objective and then they are working across purposes. If we continue to work across purposes, we will not achieve the reasons why we came together in the first instance. And then coming together in the first instance was predicated on the fact that we have agreed to work together. If we have agreed to work together, even though I'm not the person on the saddle today, my responsibility is to support whoever that is there to succeed. Because if he succeeds, I'm also the person that has succeeded. So
invariably, let's start from what is the modus operandi of Publish What You Pay? Is it to issue press statement and ask government to open its books? How much did you receive from international companies? Or what exactly is the modality of the Publish What You Pay campaign?
Is not to issue press statement. If you issue press statement, that is not work.
Well, we have not seen you on the barricades. We've not seen members of the Publish What You Pay on the barricades to demand accountability. And anyway, I don't want to assume, but run us through exactly what you do in the Publish What You Pay campaign.
Yes, Publish What You Pay is a non-governmental organization.
Yeah, registered with CSC.
Registered with CSC.
Okay.
At the international level, it's also registered with the British government.
Okay.
And so, Publish What You Pay is supposed to function like any other NGO in Nigeria.
But it's a coalition.
It's a coalition.
Okay.
And in coalition, there are usually issues of coordination. And I think that with the level that we have come into now, it is to brace up and then change the narrative. Change happens. For change to happen, there are two conditions: objective condition and a subjective condition. The objective condition has to do with you, the organization, realizing that there is a problem and there is need for solution to it. The subjective condition has to do with the organization now taking deliberate steps to providing those solutions. And I think that is where we are now. And by the grace of God, all of that will start happening in Publish What You Pay Nigeria so that they will be able to deliver according to how they are supposed to deliver. Publish What You Pay is supposed to be implementing projects. It's supposed to be doing proposal writing, pursuing grants, and then implementing projects that will matter to the people. Because you can't just be talking about transparency and accountability without also doing something. Part of the things that Publish What You Pay is supposed to do is to also see how to empower citizens to come on board this natural resource governance that we are talking about. So, by the grace of God, we'll work with the new leadership of Publish What You Pay Nigeria to ensure all of this is done. And we have taken up the gauntlet to see that Publish What You Pay members will be trained. We're going to train them. We're also going to develop their capacities in proposal writing. There's one thing that I've discovered over the years among Nigerian CSOs. Every CSO has a profile. Has a profile, more like a brochure.
Yeah.
And in that brochure, there are clear statements of their approaches to work. For instance, some organizations will say our approach to work is advocacy, capacity building, research, networking. Now, the expectation is that when you are writing your proposal, you must take cognizance of those approaches. You can be innovative about it when you are putting your approaches, when you are writing your proposal. But you find that a lot of people, when there is a call for proposal, they lose sight of that approach that they have in their documents. And so the donor is reviewing, is not seeing all of those things that you have said. So there is a contradiction in the documents that is submitted to the donor at the end of the day. So, as a matter of fact, we will try as much as possible to open the eyes of our people to understand all of this. But we are not just going to leave it at just capacity development. We're also going to mentor them, and where necessary, coach them. Part of my plan, really, because this assignment is to represent the whole of Anglophone Africa and then chairing the board. So it's double. So I'm not just looking at only Nigeria, I'm looking at the Anglophone Africa as a whole. And I have discovered from the little period from May 25th, when I was elected to represent Anglophone Africa, till July 26th, when I was elected as the global chair, I have interacted with people from the Anglophone region. And I saw that people are just doing their own. You know, Nigeria is doing its own, Ghana is doing its own.
So people are working in silos.
In silos. That regional integration is not there. Meanwhile, there is a common problem that we are confronting. So the need for us to really work as a collective is important. As we speak now, there is a Zoom conference that is going on in East Africa. And the topic of discussion is something that is relevant for Nigeria. They are talking about energy transition. How do civil society strategize to put it in the agenda of government? That discussion now is not happening in Nigeria. And I think that it is something that Nigeria can learn from. By the grace of God, by next 2 weeks, there is also going to be an ECOWAS conference in Ghana on inequality in the extractive sector. Because if you get the governance regime wrong, what we are going to see as manifestation is inequality. And so there is need for everyone to take part in some of those discourses so that we can change the narrative of the current happenings in the extractive sector in Nigeria. And I think that Publish What You Pay has to be the lead coalition that should drive such things, which is why we are also coming on board.
Have you previously been the national coordinator in Nigeria, or how did you get to be elected to chair the Anglophone Africa, and then getting to become the global chair for Publish What You Pay?
Well, I have not been a coordinator for Nigeria any time, but I have been working in the extractive sector for some time now.
Okay.
And you will not believe, my brother, this small work that we are doing, people are seeing what we are doing. You know, I remember even you, some time ago, you were referencing it, that you had me on radio somewhere in Abakaliki. You said it in one of the meetings, that those are the type of things we want to be saying. I took it to heart. And it also shows that somebody somewhere appreciates what this person is doing. That for me was a big encouragement. You may not know. It was a big encouragement to me. And if you are encouraged in what you are doing, it's for you to focus more and ensure that you live an impactful life. And that is what I have committed to doing. To live a life of impact. So anything that I do it with the whole of my mind. I didn't know somebody somewhere was also watching. One day in April, around the Easter period, I got a call that they want one person to represent the whole of Anglophone Africa at the Global Council. And they said, I'm the person.
Wow.
I'm the person. I said, I cannot play that role. Meanwhile, when I got the advert, I forwarded it to other people that I think are qualified.
Oh, more qualified than you. So you are not even thinking about it?
I wasn't thinking of it.
Okay.
Until one person called me and said, you are the person we are recommending. In the whole of Anglophone. I said, I have not done such a thing before. We said, we know you have capacity to deliver on it. I said, my hands are full. He said, whether you like it or not, we are going to submit your name. And they submitted my name, my brother. And so they got back to me to say, I need to document what my motivation is to be on the position. And I wrote honestly from my heart. And before you know it, they told me there is going to be an election May 25, and the whole Anglophone Africa gathered via Zoom, and I was elected. I got 89% of the total vote of Anglophone. There was no there was no criticism from anybody. And it can only be God. And that is why I see this position as a call to a higher responsibility. And I need the support of everybody to be able to deliver on it. I can't claim that I know it all. But the little that I know, I'm going to give it as much as I can. But I need the support of everybody to be able to deliver on this assignment. So that is the story. Then we got to having a chair for the Global Council. And they also said, we have looked around. There's no other person that will chair it. Because, you submit your profile and so they look at it. And then we got to where people were made to vote, and people from across the continents of the world. And they voted me unopposed.
Wow.
Unopposed. There was no other candidate from anywhere.
Interesting.
I'm telling you. So it is God's ordination, which is why I'm saying, yes, I'm in the position today, but I need the support of everybody. That I'm in the studio today is part of that support for this new role. Because the role says that I need to also work with the executive director of the Global Publish What You Pay to, among other things, provide visibility for the coalition. To, among other things, lead Publish What You Pay Global to a greater height. And I look at this, I cannot do that alone. I need the cooperation of everybody. Cooperation of both people in government, cooperation of both people outside government, and particularly those in our sector to be able to deliver on this assignment.
So obviously you are Nigerian ambassador now. In case you do not know, you are now an ambassador not only to Anglophone Africa on Publish What You Pay, but in fact the entire globe. And I think congratulations on that. You see,
thank you.
Even the Bible says, "Sit thou a man, diligent in his way, he will stand before kings and not before me, men." Apologies for sounding a bit religious.
No, it's fine.
But I think that is because when I picked that information, I said, well, this is very heartwarming. That Nigeria has been found worthy to chair the Global Council of Publish What You Pay. And more so, this is one of the things that our president committed to when he came into office in 2015. So let's look at, because, a lot of people do not actually know what is open government partnership. How does this feed into the work of Publish What You Pay and all of that? So we just learned that Nigeria signed on to OPG. Ordinary citizen does not know what OPG, and this thing should not be like an occult where you just be speaking among yourself and the uninitiated will not get to know. So exactly what is open government partnership, and when did Nigeria sign on to it? What does it contain for us?
The Open Government Partnership, also known as the OGP, Nigeria signed up to it in 2016. And that 2016, what made Nigeria to sign up to it was the fact that our president, President Muhammad Buhari, attended the anti-corruption summit in the UK. And there the Prime Minister of UK, in his statement at that summit, described Nigeria as a country that is fantastically corrupt.
That's Donald Cameron.
Yes.
Is it
David
Donald-
Cameron.
David
Cameron. He described Nigeria as a country that is fantastically corrupt.
Not only Nigeria, I think Nigeria and Afghanistan.
But we are particular about our
Yeah,
own.
we are particular about our own. That's good.
So that jolted the president. And this is a president that has anti-corruption as one of his agenda. So he has no other option than to enlist into the Open Government Partnership as the 70th country to join the Open Government Partnership. What does the Open Government Partnership entail? The Open Government Partnership thrives on the principle of co-creation. In other words, what government is going to be doing, citizens will be part of it. And the whole idea was to deepen the fight against corruption. And then Nigeria returned from that summit and put together a national action plan, because you can't drive OGP without a national action plan. So a national action plan was put in place, and it was deliberately made to be very ambitious. It has four areas that it was looking at. It was looking at fiscal transparency, access to information, citizens' engagement, and asset recovery. Now, the first plan expired in 2019, and then a new plan, which is the second national action plan, also came on board. We are on the verge of we have put together a draft third national action plan, but that is still being looked at by an independent consultant to look at what has been put together to make sure that it goes the way that the other ones went. But what is more critical is that the Open Government Partnership, it has thematic working groups, just those different thematics that I mentioned. Governments whose responsibility relates to those areas, that is MDAs, they are part of it. And then civil society that are also working in those areas, they are part of it. So in each of those thematics, there are co-chairs for each of the thematics.
Okay.
Just like at the National Steering Committee of the OGP, you have a civil society co-chair and a government co-chair. Presently, the Minister for State for Budget and National Planning, Mr. Clemagba, is the government co-chair for the OGP in Nigeria. And then we have a civil society person that is also doubling, because if you say co-creation, government will be here, civil society will be here. So all along we have been programming, but much more really is the work that we are doing. We got support, and our responsibility is to advocate to subnational governments to key into the OGP. By the grace of God, Central LSD, and in collaboration with the OGP Secretariat, we have been able to engage 22 states that have signed up to the OGP.
Wow.
And then there is a local government, AMAC, that has also signed up to the OGP. So far, 22 states out of the 36 have signed up to the OGP, and there are still some possibilities of more states coming on board.
What does signing on to? What does it contain? What does it mean?
Yes, signing up to the OGP means that the state government has agreed to embrace OGP principles. And the principle of transparency, citizen participation, accountability, and all of those principles that drive transparency, that drives a regime of anti-corruption. They have signed up to it. And so once they sign up to it, what we usually do is to now move into the state to train, build their capacity on what OGP really entails. But the time came, we felt that because OGP thrives on the principle of co-creation, there is need to bring in leadership and strategy. Because if you are going to lead, even though you have two coaches, they need to understand teamwork. Because if you do not understand teamwork, the possibility to work across purposes will be there. So that is what we are doing now. And I must tell you that the testimonies are overwhelming.
Interesting. So, if you are to look, you take a global view of the Nigerian's anti-corruption strategy, since you are an expert in strategy and leadership. So, let's try to do an overview of the anti-corruption strategy of Nigeria. Where are we in the scheme of things? Because I'm asking this question against the background that if you look at our corruption perception index, I think we came 146 over 180 in the 2021 CPI. And this present administration said it's committed to fighting corruption. Still, we have an accountant general of the federal government of Nigeria who has been accused of multi-billion naira, misappropriation or corruption allegation. Of course, he's answering to his charges in court, and the man is presumed innocent until found guilty. But at least that allegation has been leveled against him. He's been dragged to court. He's been granted bail. And this is a man that is actually driving the IPPIS for the federal government. So where exactly, as a development sector expert who is involved in this open government partnership, in extractive industry, transparency and accountability and all of that, where in your own view are we in the fight against corruption?
Okay, thank you very much. Signing up to the OGP is a novel idea, and the intention was clear to deepen the fight against corruption. But it is also disturbing us that whereas Nigeria have signed up to the OGP, the things that we are seeing on a daily basis is not in sync with the OGP principles. And that is very worrisome, especially when you hear 20 billion stolen today, 100 billion stolen today, and there is no action taken because that political will. Yes, there was political will to sign up to the OGP, but the political will for operationalization, I'm not seeing it. And that is why, in all of these Transparency International ranking, instead of making progress, we are not making progress the way we are supposed to be. So, I cannot score Nigeria because I have very high expectation when Nigeria signed up to the OGP. But if you look at people who are even supposed to fight corruption, are the people perpetrating it, then it becomes a big minus to us. But we are not deterred. We will continue to preach and ensure that government wakes up to his responsibility. And one of the things that I have said is that President Muhammad Buhari must, of necessity, in some of his speeches, also mention OGP, that Nigeria is a signatory to OGP. All that we are going to be doing going forward from Nigeria must be in line with the OGP principle. Only that statement alone, at least people will understand that President is serious about this fight.
But Monday, if I will pause you, this president recently said he's in a hurry to leave, that he's overwhelmed with the leadership responsibility. I don't know whether the media quoted him well, but you possibly have read that he said he's in a hurry to leave. So it's on his own stretch in the next 10 months or thereabout. we'll be having a new president. So how does this fight against corruption, how does it key into the next election? How do we take the fight? And I'm not talking PW, publish what you pay. I'm talking about the fight against corruption. How do we ensure? These are candidates that have emerged through a flawed process. We saw the high monetization of the many of the candidates, particularly in the dominant parties. We have billions of, in fact, not even naira now. We are talking of millions of dollars allegedly exchanged hands. How could a delegate, just come for one night event and is going back a millionaire? And allegations are rife. People getting up to $10,000, $20,000 to vote for a candidate. So if you do that in Nigerian currency, that's billions of naira.
Exactly.
And if a candidate emerges through that flawed process, is there any hope that even the so-called OGP will not be in reverse jar in the if any of the candidates in the upcoming presidential election gets into the office?
Yeah.
So what are your take? What is your take rather on this issue of monetization of the electoral process and what it portends for the fight against corruption post Buhari administration?
Yeah. I think I share the same sentiment with you. It's also very disturbing, especially looking at how Nigerians are putting their best in the work that they are doing. And some people are not doing anything, but just merely being a delegate, you become a millionaire. If you look at it deeply, if you are not deep in what you have chosen to do, in the passion that you are putting into your work, it can be a disincentive. But as Nigeria look forward to the 2023 elections, I think one thing that we can do differently, and we have started it, is the fact that we realize that right now the OGP is not backed by any law.
It's just a policy.
Yes, and that for me is a big issue. So what we have decided to do in liaison with the OGP Secretariat is to put together a draft executive order, which we believe the president will sign anytime soon. But that is not enough. We need all the candidates of the different political parties to commit to taking the OGP into the administration when they come on board. And one thing, very unsavory situation that is happening now, I was reading, I don't know how true it is, one of the candidates has printed a credit card requesting people to give them the number of their PVCs. I don't understand that. And we shouldn't have a president that will give up on everything. That is not leadership. So if you give up on the situation of Nigeria, Brian, there is one leadership scholar that once told us that leaders have a poorly developed sense of fear. In other words, leaders do not fear, no matter the situation. Because if a leader is overwhelmed, it means fear has made him to get overwhelmed. No matter the situation, you must be able to chest out. Because that courage is needed for your citizens to get motivation, to know that that place that this man is pointing us to, we will get there. Which is why in leadership, a leader must have a head, must have a heart, and must have a gut to do things. God is the effrontery to do the right thing, no matter who is involved. But in Nigeria, instead of using the God, our leaders are overwhelmed by their heart. So there's a conflict between the heart and the gut in Nigeria. Because there are sentiments. Sentiment because if this thing happened and this person is close to me, you don't want to do what is expected. What the law says that we should do as a penalty, we are not applying it. And if we don't apply it, all of these things that we are seeing now will continue to fester. So our take really is to engage all of these new candidates, all of these candidates that have emerged in the different political parties, to commit to the fight against corruption. And one of the things that they can take forward is the OGP principles that Nigeria have signed up to. And, you know, government will also not do this alone. All of us must be ready to support government in everything that is doing, so that the government can also succeed. But we need the right leader to emerge to be able to galvanize citizen support for all its policies, plans, and programs.
So we are on the home stretch now. Let's talk about your plan. Because like I said earlier on, part of the reason anyway, not just the main reason, part of the reason I brought you on this show is to also enunciate what your agenda for the Publish What You Pay campaign will be during your tenure. I think your tenure is 2 years.
3.
3 years, okay. Fine, that's a very good one. 3 years is a lot. That's 36 months. And have you been inaugurated?
It will be inaugurated in September.
In September, okay. That's in UK. So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I wish I can come with you and cover it. So I'm not also averse to tourism.
Yeah.
Anyway, on a serious note, so what are you bringing to the global campaign and also to the domestic environment? I know you have alluded to a number of things in the course of interaction this morning, but I want you to quite in bullet points enunciate what are your plans for the global Publish What You Pay campaign, and then charity, they said, begins at home. How will we draw the useful dividends that we have someone like you at the global level?
Yeah. Being the chair of the Global Council is a big position, kind of.
No, it's not kind of. I wish I was you. at least I will have official card,
yes,
and a bodyguard and siren. And that's it. You are now. You travel first class or maybe business class or whatever.
So,
but that's
by the way. The roles at the Global Councils are very clear.
Okay.
And they are codified already.
So they are cast in stone.
Yes. And part of it is to support the executive director of Publish What You Pay Global, to also run the secretariat in London, and to also help in the operationalization, implementation of the new strategy 2023 to 2025, and providing visibility for Publish What You Pay, and also be part of fundraising for Publish What You Pay. But what am I going to do for the whole of Anglophone Africa? Let me not limit it to Nigeria, because that's now is my constituency. There are 4 agendas that I have. And one of it is this regional integration that I talked about before. Instead of working in silos, can we work as a team? And I think that is one thing that I need to do going forward, to see how the whole of Anglophone Africa will work as a team. Then the other thing that I plan to do is also take capacity strengthening very seriously. And I told you some of the challenges that I have spotted regarding members of the coalition. And I think that apart from training them on certain key areas, there is also need to provide mentorship to them and ensure that they go the way they are supposed to go. Right now, there's a call from the Global Council, call for proposal from the Global Council. And those are some of the information I'd like to also be sharing with them. There's a call, because if you are in this sector and you can't even write a proposal, you are not here. If you are in this sector, you can't do conceptualization, you can't put together a winning proposal. It's like just waking up in your house, going to an office and wasting your time. So there is need to really build the capacity of our people. We are sure of providing that support. Then the other thing is we engaged a consultant at the global level to look at the publish what to pay strategy. And he made a presentation last week. And one of the things that he spotted, which I have also seen, is that whereas there are avalanche of data to be used to evidence our advocacy, publish what to pay members are not using those data. And so part of what we are going to do to really make our advocacy to be evidence-based is to encourage our people on the usage of data to analyze things and everything that they are going to do. And then the last point is networking. Networking is very important. Now, we talk of social capital. Social capital, I know this person know this person, but some persons don't know how to manage relationship. So relationship management is one of the things that I will also ensure that people within the coalition embraces, so that we can properly network and give prominence to what Publish What to Pay is doing in the whole of Anglophone Africa, and particularly in Nigeria.
I want to thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, sir.
My Oga at the top, Monday of Social Center, LSD Executive Director, and the newly elected chairman or chair of the Global Council of Publish What to Pay campaign, which is an anti-corruption campaign. I thank you for shedding light on a wide range of issues.
Thank you.
And I hope that, I wish you a very successful tenure.
Thank you.
I hope that all those aspirations you have will be achieved in the course of your leadership, in the course of your term in office, and that you will even get a reappointment to that position. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Wish you well.
Thank
we
you.
are going on a short break, and we'll be back to take the second and conclusive segment in a bit. Stay tuned.